Hey everyone, I'm Kristen with I.D.E.A. Cleveland, and I'm the marketing guy.
And I'm Vic Ng with Viking Sales Consultants, and I'm a sales guy.
So today I get to admit that marketing creates a lot of junk that sales doesn't even want to use. And I've been a part of this. Years ago, before YouTube really took off, I was making sales videos for a company, and there were case study videos. And we were spending a lot of time and effort. And then the sales guy would come in and we'd do the interview with them, like, hey, okay, how's this all working out? And then we did a video about it. 2 weeks later, I'd see the same sales guy. I'm like, oh, this is great. Are you using this video? Nope, not at all. You didn't share with anybody? Nope. Okay, what was the point of you coming in and we had the time with the client and the money to spend in the business and you have no use for it? No, I don't really think it will help our sales cycle. Why did we do it? And that's the ultimate example of why marketing should be making decisions for sales of what we need to close the deal. Now, marketing could talk to sales and what conversations, what questions and all that. But I think too often marketers think they know how to make a sale, especially in today's age. People are blurring that way too much, that sales and marketing are equal, but they're not. So, Vic, in your life, have you ever experienced that kind of experience where someone just created stuff and it got recycled?
Yeah, a lot. So, I mean, I've been a salesperson long enough where print is still in existence, but it was very heavy once upon a time. And this is kind of sad to admit, but it's not my fault. Let's blame marketing. That I had an entire trunk full in my car of boxes and boxes of marketing materials that I didn't ask for, that I was told to go hand out. And I would try, Chris, but the fact is I often failed to understand what purpose it served. And that's where I'd like to direct the conversation, is back to you on what purpose it serves. But I'll tell you, a lot of that stuff ended up in the trash because, then on the weekend, I put something in my trunk and some of it gets damaged and a water bottle open. I mean, that's just, casualties. And of course, marketing, if I shared that, they'd say, well, you should have handed them out. Like, where am I going to hand out 500 of the same brochure? And if I have it in the office, you're yelling at me that I'm not using it. So, all right. Anyway, back to you, Chris. Okay. And I want to take this somewhere, but what is the purpose of like a flyer, an 8.5 by 11 glossy flyer about something?
So let's start with, what is the purpose of marketing? It's supposed to develop awareness and trust. All right. Once you arrive on location as the salesperson, how are you handing them a flyer or brochure, building awareness and trust at that point? Now, maybe that flyer and brochure can do something for you as a salesperson in a different way, but the marketing mindset is awareness and trust. That's what we're all doing. We're building awareness and trust, awareness and trust, awareness and trust. Well, it's too late. We can't build awareness and trust if you're already there. Now it's up to you, Vic, to actually build that on a one-to-one basis with the person. And I think that's part of the problem, is marketers think, well, if they just looked at this flyer, well, they're not going to look at this flyer. Here, I'm going to give you this flyer, and I'll be sitting here watching you read it. I'll give you 15. That's ridiculous, right? But is that what they expected you to do?
Well, here's what I think they expected. And it's funny because we're getting close to the answer. And hint, you said it at the very opening of this episode. So I think in terms of funnel, and you've got a top of the funnel where there's leads coming in. You've got a bottom of the funnel where your clients are. By the way, that's where the most money is usually lost, because people want to give you more money when it worked out the first time. But in between there, you have that sales meeting we've talked about, the alignment meeting, the consultation, converting the needs to the wants and then closing the deal. But I think a lot of marketing material is intended for a different part of the funnel than maybe where they're told to do. And you said it, to hand it out to spread awareness. So here's me going door to door and saying, I'm going to leave these behind. I hated doing that because it went into the trash, and it's wasteful. And I appreciated the work my marketing department did and the printing costs. So to answer your question, here's where it worked. And you said at the beginning, salespeople don't need more stuff. They need answers they can use in real conversations. I believe that's what you said. I found the most use out of marketing materials in the middle of the funnel. I would say I would get them to the point, I'm asking questions, and they're saying, yeah, I can appreciate that. Now comes out the sheet. It's a spec sheet. It gives a case study, whatever it is. And no, I don't hand it to them. That was a rule I'd learned early on. You don't let it out of your hands until the end of the meeting when you do leave it behind. Otherwise, it became a nice visual. A professional put it together in a nice visual way, and most people are visual, to then say, check this out, and you walk them through. So back to you, Chris, but that's how I made use of marketing materials, and it worked great, but they'd had a time and a place.
Yes. And then so you think of these case studies, they help you build a trust and all that. And then also put the person on the other side of the table, like, that's me. That's exactly the problem I have. That's my company. That's why I have Vic here to talk to me in the first place. So it kind of resonates in the sense of like, okay, this is a real thing. I know that company actually exists. It seems successful from the outside. So, hey, this must be something that works. So going back to the salesperson, what can they do to actually communicate to get better content created for them? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, and you know what? For fun, let's shift out from print to, something on the web, right? A link to a specific page. Is that probably more appropriate, Chris? Okay. So to get marketing, your question was to create better material. It's a feedback loop. So I love the way you framed it, because that was exactly what I meant. When I said I would walk people through a case study, for example, it's the classic, don't take my word for it. Here's somebody else who, on TV, it's a paid expert. But the good news about these case studies, it is somebody just like them. And in fact, ideally, like, this is Joe. Like, he's across town. Do you want me to get him on the phone? And I'll call him right now. That's how real a case study should be. The less vague, the better. But anyway, then the feedback loop is you share that and you find out, well, that doesn't apply to me. Here's my problem. And it can be used as a great talking point to open up more dialogue, which is the whole point. So to answer your question, when I did have a great feedback loop with great marketing departments, I actually was not bringing them crazy ideas. It would be cool if we had this mug or this kind of magnetic business card. I don't know why I'm putting on a voice like that. But it was better when I said, you know what? I don't think we're hitting home this benefit that addresses this pain that is ubiquitous amongst our clients. How about we get a case study that says this? So that's my answer, Chris, is when I was in a nice groove with marketing, and the only reason I'm not now is because it's just me and I'm coaching the salespeople. I don't work anymore, I guess. I'm just a consultant. No, but it's that feedback loop between sales and marketing. And we've talked about that before, right, Chris?
Absolutely. And I think that's where the communication really has happened. Like we have here in our notes, if marketing sat in a sales calls for 30 days, what would change? And I think everything would change. Because at the end of the day, they'll be hearing all the questions that they hear over and over again. The salespeople hear the same question over and over again. And marketing will be like, I just assumed everybody knew that. Oh, I didn't know that was actually a pain point and a reason people want to have a conversation. Oh man, we need to actually develop a strategy that shows how we're better at that than our competitor. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, nobody cares about this. Oh, well, nobody cares about the color of the roll of paper underneath your shingles on your roof. Nobody cares about that. And they have 5 posts per month about, we have all these cool colors, something ridiculous. We all know it's all black. But I'm saying, though, there are things that the marketing department thinks is important. And there's things that the salespeople know that are important. And you have to learn what the no is. Because sales already understands all these problems. They have a solution already. They have case studies already that they pull out of their back pocket. They have stories that they pull out of their back pocket. With all these ways for them to actually make the person more comfortable that this is the right product or service for them. That's everything that should be in marketing. But marketers struggle with a tactic. not all marketing. Let's be kind of vague about it. They start with tactics. We're gonna post on Facebook all the time. Okay, that's great. What are you gonna post? Who are you posting it to, and why are you posting? Well, you have to go to the sales to find out all those answers.
It's it. Here, let me jump in again. And thank you. That's perfect. But I started to say before, and I didn't finish the thought, that let's take the focus off print and talk more about digital content. And I always tried to do that when I could, because here's why. Is if you could pull up on your laptop right there in their office, a link on your website to show them, then they misplaced the flyer, they still know. And if you have an easy to navigate website, they can go and show somebody else, or they can review it again. And I love what you just said about social media. Like, is some of that stuff ephemeral? Does it disappear, right? Is it no different than, what was it, Snapchat, where it's there for 5 seconds? So why isn't that stuff being captured, the good stuff, or boiled up into a nice new tab or a case study on the website? But I don't see a problem too with going, and I find myself saying this, I posted about that on LinkedIn just a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell people about it. But why not show it? Send it to them after the meeting and say, this is exactly what I was talking about. And again, even better, substantiate it. Would you like to talk to this person? This is a real client of mine. His name is Chris. Here's his LinkedIn page. I'll introduce you if you want. By the way, I've had a grand total with Viking sales consultants of one customer who has asked to talk to another customer, but I offer it. I've probably offered it 50 times and only one has said it. So the odds are, people, you're building trust in other ways, but you're substantiating it by just saying, don't take my word for it. Call any of my past customers. Is that making sense, Chris?
What I think I'm learning from you, Vic, is very important. This is how content marketing really should be, like really created for business, especially small businesses that have limited budget anyway. You need to be creating this content that's on your website, the blogs, the videos. You take a video, yes, it's on YouTube, doesn't matter. You embed that onto your website, because the salesperson could send a link in email. They can pull it up on their laptop while they're sitting there at the coffee shop. There's all these ways that you say, hey, here it is. It's easy for them to find, and it's easy for the salesperson to know. And that's the two important things. You could be creating all this content that dies. We've been talking a lot about that. Like, social media dies for 24, 48 hours. But what's never going to die is YouTube and your blog. Those are things that are going to last a long time. And if your sales team is knowledgeable of what you have available for them, and they're involved in what you're building, they can use that database of information and stories and information, like, in so many different ways. And that's what I think I've learned.
I love it. So in summary, what I stumbled upon without knowing it is content should be held somewhere in a more permanent place, and you maybe purge occasionally and update and refresh. So we all need a social media strategist, I suppose, or a website strategist, or what do you call it? A digital marketing strategist, to take all of that and put it together into the website. But yeah, that's it. If it's just going out, oh yeah, where was that scroll, that great post we had? Put it in a YouTube video. It's always there. And you've told me, Chris, doesn't this trigger algorithms and things that make it more meaningful? And this young generation that, I'm joking, and because we should all be doing it, using AI to help us make buying decisions. Isn't it going to go to those things?
I just put an article, a blog out that talked about AI search. And yes, when you build this type of evergreen long-term information, your AI search is improved too. Look how we brought it all full circle.
So we're answering the question, does marketing need to create more stuff? The answer is yes, but it's a different kind of stuff than maybe their instincts told them to create. And that feedback loop is probably that a valuable takeaway. And, if you're like me, you're sales and marketing in your business, just listen to yourself. Like, you hear the same things over and over again from your clients, and what you end up saying. Capture that. That also forms your identity, right, Chris?
100%. All right, let's end this with what I think is the best piece of advice we can give a business owner or a salesperson or a marketing team. Create that content on your website. Don't overthink the post on social media. Those become posts. So if you have a blog can turn into 5 different social media posts. That's cool. But build the long form first. Long form that's living on your website has long-term value, and that's what actually is going to help the sales team. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do as marketers.
We solved all the world's problems in just 15 minutes. Amazing.
Excellent. All right, if we solved your problem, make sure you like it, comment, and if we didn't solve your problem, let us know what your problem is, and we'll try to solve it for you. Have a great day.